Hit it.
We're hitting it twice. At the beginning and at the end there. Hello and good evening, everybody, for a special edition of our Strange New Worlds episode review podcast here on Live Long and Podcast. We're doing this because a few of us weren't able to be there for the reviews of Season 3, Episode 1 and Episode 2, Hegemony Part 2 and Wedding Bell Blues, respectively. And so we're doing a supplemental tonight to, feature some fresh voices from the team who weren't on last Thursday's original panel, dive into the full spoiler territory as this passionate crew of Star Trek fans breaks down the plot lines, character moments, and Trek lore galore. I'm David Mader, and I'll be guiding you through this second shuttle through Federation space, charting reruns, remixes, and rogue theories alike. And we got a great panel here to talk all about it. Coming in from the Ottawa sector, with more Trek trivia than an exocomp can at a pub quiz, he's our scientific and research expert, armed with fun facts, quirky connections, and a heart as big as a targ. It's Adam Woodward.
Hey, Dave. Hey, Davan. Good to see you both. I was on episode 1 last week with Kevin and Ashley, and just three of us. But Chris was there as well. But I'm dying to talk about it with you guys as well. And I did not at the time I hadn't watched the second episode, so
so we're catching up on that as well. I did hear your thoughts on the premiere already, but we'll revisit those. And also joining us, this panelist beams in from Eastern Passage, Nova Scotia, bringing spontaneous charm, sharp takes, and enough rogue energy to make a Telosian nervous. It's Davan Skelhorn. Should really practice these.
Look, far be it for me to be undiplomatic, but I think this supplemental was necessary because if we're not there, it's just an away mission, really.
Well, it's we appreciate Kevin and the crew all bringing out the reviews. Davan had a concert last Thursday. I was in Nova Scotia visiting family, and Adam didn't have time to watch Wedding Bell Blues. So we were like, we need to talk about this because episode 3 is coming out tomorrow, and we'll be really probably focused on that once that comes out. So we just kind of want to look back and talk about a few things and see how this is going as well. We got this news, but we had our first trailer come out a couple months ago, and then before the season started up, we got the announcement that there will be a season 4 and 5, but season 5 is going to be condensed, and then that is it. So we're not quite halfway through, or maybe we're approaching the halfway point of this entire series, as they only do 10 episodes normally a season. I guess season 5 will be even fewer. So,
Oh, yeah? Fewer?
Well, that's what they said. It will be condensed season 5, so we're not getting 10 episodes. I don't know how many that will mean. If it means 8, if it means 7, I'm not sure. So, but that's, I guess, a couple years away, as we have been waiting 2 years for season 3 to come out since season 2 ended. So, this cliffhanger from 2 years ago, Adam, we were talking about, we're going to be reviewing Best of Both Worlds in season 3, Next Generation podcast later this year, and that you had to wait 3 months for the cliffhanger before it came back, let alone 2 full years, 24 months. And I think you mentioned in the premiere podcast that you had to kind of go back and rewatch the end of season 2 to kind of really know what the hell's going on. And I definitely agree, because you were like, I remember there was Gorn. I remember there was an attack on the planet, but where we're starting off in Hegemony Part 2 is a bit of homework. You have to refresh yourself.
Yeah. Look, to me, first of all, Hegemony Part 1, I guess, was fantastic. I thought the way it ended was with Pike out of loss. You really felt that he did not know what to do. And this is strange for this captain, because he's generally in control and in command. But, they're being attacked at that point by the Gorn. And I really, first of all, it was a very exciting episode, that cliffhanger. And it reminded me so much of Best of Both Worlds. Like, that's how they should be. Like, powerful ending and then a great start.
Right. So who will die? Who will live?
Yeah, it was. And as we get into this, I thought that this season 3, episode 1 was great. Like, just top notch for me.
Okay, Davan, how did you feel about episode 1, Hegemony Part 2?
Well, I pretty much agree with everything Adam said, though. I rated this episode a 10, but now that I'm thinking of Hegemony Part 1, I think I liked Hegemony Part 1 better. But that doesn't mean they both can't be 10s, I guess. But, yeah, I like this one. It had some, I'm not a big action guy or anything, but it had some nice action. It had a nice Star Trek-y, science-based and, like, alien culture-based kind of MacGuffin at the end, which is nice, which I like. They didn't just shoot their way out of the problem. They had to think their way out of the problem.
But even when they think their way to the problem, they don't have to. It was good enough. You know what I mean? It didn't need more. You know.
Yeah, it was funny because he's just like, I think we just made this somebody else's problem. Like, I like that kind of thing that they say at the end, because it's just like, that's what I first thought. I'm like, well, that's an idea, I guess. But like, then they're like, yeah, no, we know that's not a great idea. Yeah, so
yeah, like for me, okay, Hegemony Part 1 was much stronger from my perspective. I thought Hegemony Part 2 was okay. But after 2 years of waiting, I was kind of like what you would expect. Like, they're like, oh, we're going to use the sun to defeat the Gorn because they're responsive to light. And then it was all set up in Part 1, so I was kind of like, this is kind of predictable. I think that I had forgotten everything about like the away team and the colonists being like abducted by the Gorn at the end of Part 1. And for me, that stuff was the strongest stuff in the episode. Like them having
good stuff.
Getting out of the ship, that like La'an waking up in the that digestion thing and whatever, having to pull herself out of it. Getting the rest of the away team out. Was it Ortega's?
just getting more and more mangled like throughout the episode.
She had a rough go in this one.
She did.
Okay, the Gorn.
I agree with you with what you're about to say, by the way.
There wasn't a lot there in terms of what was in the original Arena episode. It was Kirk and this guy in a lizard suit, okay?
Yeah.
But the way that I had always imagined the Gorn, a lot of the way
Enterprise. Don't forget Enterprise.
Well, there was one in Enterprise. That's I guess the only other time we saw one. It was CGI Gorn, who, at the time was kind of a controversial introduction because of how different that CGI Gorn was compared to original series Gorn. And now this version, where the Gorn are kind of a, like, I want to say like almost like a force of nature, like they're
xenomorphs.
They're animalistic. They're xenomorphs from Alien. They seem to be capable of traveling through space, but they don't seem to have a lot of reason or thought process. We never see one talk. We never see.
Same with Pakleds.
Pakleds, at least, like we look for things. Like, you understand. I understand the Gorns. Their main priority is they want to eat you, but it's just like I have a hard time accepting them as a spacefaring race based on this particular portrayal, because it just feels so animalistic.
I like it because it actually goes so far as that there's no. Remember the Trelliak, was it, or
the Shellyak?
What are you trying to reference?
The
Shellyak?
Yes, Shellyak. Thank you. That they had to greet them in a certain way in order to talk to them, right?
Yeah, right.
And thank you, Shellyak. I know there was an yak at the end, but the
yakety yak.
I like when they go so far as like a species that is not, you cannot relate with. Universal translators don't work. Or there's just no way, there's no common ground. And this sort of hit this. And this to me reminds me of more of V than Aliens, personally.
Sure. War of the Worlds also comes to mind. Like, that the aliens are not interested in talking with us.
I think they took it a step too far is all. Like, you can almost see the visual lineage from TOS to where they looked in Enterprise to how they looked. Like,
well, it's funny.
That's kind of a gradual change. That's fine.
Even you take Gorn originally, and then Star Wars, that Boss character.
Yeah,
which was
like
a complete rip-off of the Gorn, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right. And at the end of Hegemony Part 1, we see the Gorn in like the environmental suit trying to get past the access codes. But it's but then he fights Spock in that up in like the bridge of the Cayuga, right? And you know, it's again very animalistic. There's no like they don't feel like a sentient race that went to space.
No.
You know, they feel like
less
something
so.
else.
This is the best interpretation of the Gorn that I've ever encountered. This comic book here, The Gorn Crisis.
Mm-hmm.
You got a picture?
What that?
Show me a picture.
Do they show like what they look like?
Oh, sure. They look mostly like TOS. Like
they're more like bipedal, upright kind of format.
Yeah. But what they are is they're basically like I guess it's a hegemony. But like they're a monarchy, so they have this royal family, and like the royal family lays eggs and stuff, so to keep their line going, and to keep like the nobility going. So what happens in this is like a terrorist faction breaks in and like crushes all the royal eggs, so like it ends the royal line, and like so they have this whole like that kind of dynamic going on their planet, which makes them feel more like a race that we normally see in space. They have internal dynamics in like culture and all this, in language and like status, like social status and all this sort of stuff. But where I think they went a step too far in Strange New Worlds is I think adding the because they do have eggs and stuff like in this interpretation that I like. I kind of like the idea that they used in Hegemony Part 1 where they just drop all their eggs off on a planet and just let them hatch. And then the hatchlings just kind of go nuts on the planet. That's cool. That makes sense with who they are, and it doesn't really mess with anything. But where I think it goes too far is they make them chest bursters again. Like they just make them xenomorphs since they're like busting out of you. You know what I mean? Like that's too far and stupid and generic, and everything just bursts out of your chest now. That's just
Yeah.
Did you like the introduction to the Gorn back in season 2 or 1, whenever that was?
Yeah, it was creepy. Like they have their like those ships where they just keep you to eat you. Like what do they call them? What do they call them?
No, I'm talking when they went to the planet and they found another Starfleet ship that was crashed.
Right. That was like the first introduction of like La'an's backstory with the Gorn and all of that. I did like
it's the Gorn.
It's the Gorn. Well, I do. I just have to open the board here. Come on.
It's the Gorn.
And what Davan's explaining from that comic book is also what was in a lot of like the novels over the years and Star Trek Online, a lot of video games, have always kind of portrayed the Gorn as a monarchy. Yes, they have like this internal dynamics that Davan's talking about, and here
they can talk to you,
and they can talk.
Like there's no suggestion that these Strange New Worlds ones can talk to you.
Or that they have any interest in doing
Well,
so.
they didn't really talk in original series either.
This is the voice of your enemy. Remember that? Yeah. Come on, Adam. Let's
see. Look, here's
we could admit these things.
Look at that. Look at that shot there. There's some Gorn.
Yeah, and like to me, that's more like interesting. The fact that they got clothes on, that they got their own sense of society. I'm okay with them being alien and different, and whatever. But this was maybe a step too far for me. I feel like it's a little, and then they just put them all to sleep at the end. I'm like, that's like what?
The
like
sleep cycle thing, yeah.
The sleep cycle thing because of the sun and.
That's convenient.
Was that?
Yeah, I'm dropping my rating down to a 9. Yeah, Part 2 wasn't as good.
Yeah, I thought like a lot of the action, the action was fine. The emotion, I feel like in particular, Anson Mount was really strong in his performance. Him there at the end. And Ortega's, and when he's like ready to pray there for Marie to be alive, I think that was good.
La'an was great. Like she was. Like, that wake up scene for like when she's coming conscious, when she becomes conscious in that sack, that scene was great.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the best scene in the episode for me. Yeah. Like them waking up, her having to get like Mbenga and the other Kirk and
Mbenga's always good. He's always good.
Although I didn't agree with the choice that they made. Like, well, yeah, we could wake up all these other colonists, but then we don't know what to do. Well, who cares? Get them out of the stupid pods. Like, you know, we saw Ortega's was getting her hand eaten. Her hand was half gone. Presumably, those other colonists are in a similar, or a few of them at least, are in a similar situation. So, like,
they sort of left it as the like we're not going to do it yet, though. It's not that we're going to leave them here. It's just we're going to do our thing first, and then we'll figure out how to. We'll
beam them out when we can figure it out.
Which they do at the end of the episode.
Which they do, which is kind of like a yada yada. But I felt like that was a weird choice in the moment to leave them all in those pods.
I don't think so, actually. I think if you have something to accomplish, you just need your team that you can trust, and not a bunch of people running around scared.
Civilians running around with no guns.
I guess there were no other Starfleet present. They were the only Starfleet present.
Bunch of people screaming. All of a sudden, that room's full of gone.
Maybe. Okay, but it felt, I don't know, like it was tough, like to watch them leave them in there, knowing that they're being slowly digested. The fact that they had to get their guns out of a poop pile was kind of convenient, but interesting in the same ways. Yeah, the civilians would get killed. Well, I think maybe not. I don't know. It depends on the civilian.
Better to be slowly digested than shot by a golem.
Yeah, I think that what it showed with discipline of Starfleet and any military, you need to control. Like, look, there's going to be casualties. They made the choices, and I think they made the right one. Like, because again, you cannot have a bunch of civilians going crazy and panicky and running all over the place. You're going to lose them.
Right. Well. Okay, fine, but I don't know.
The Scotty Pelia stuff was good.
Really good.
Yeah, and okay, now is my other point. This is kind of tying into both. You know, I've talked about this in other podcasts, and Adam, I know we've talked about this at length. This being a prequel, you know, and how many of the original series characters they feel they need to have on this show. I would have
gone. It's going to be all of them by season 5.
It's going to be like we're almost all of them are almost here. You know, I was okay when they first announced. You
Bones.
know, Bones and what? I guess Janice Rand.
Sulu.
Don't worry, they're getting here. Like probably in 5 episodes. And
I thought they were almost going to waste Ortega's in this one because it wasn't looking good there for a while, and then it was like, oh, here comes Sulu.
Right, because when they first announced this idea of like Strange New Worlds as a show, you know, it made a lot of sense to me because Anson Mount was so good as Pike in that season 2 of Discovery that the character of Christopher Pike had barely been on screen. You know, he'd been in basically only in the Menagerie, and I guess, you know, you have like the Bruce Greenwood version in the reboot movies, but there was a lot of open space there to reinterpret this character, retell those do a prequel show like that. And same with Una, number 1, like there was barely anything there. And I get that if you're going to do this show, well, we need a new Spock, we need a younger Spock. All that I can go with.
Sexy
right?
Spock, hot Spock.
Right. But then right from the beginning, they're like, well, we got to have Chapel there. Oh, and I guess, sorry, before I get there, Mbenga would be the other one I would say was fine for me because Mbenga, who's also from the original series, you know, he's in like 2 episodes and he's not that big of a character. So I think having a new actor come in, do a whole new take on it is fine. But when you bring in somebody like this new guy who's playing Scotty, and I'm just looking at this guy going, that's not James Doohan. Like, and as much as I like Celia Rose Gooding, like she ain't Nichelle Nichols, right? And I've watched, I don't know, 79 episodes. I've watched 6 movies with those actors as those characters.
But she's already done more as Uhura than Nichelle Nichols.
Well, and we were I was talking. I was talking to Adam the other night too about this after the show about Chapel and how different this version of Chapel is. And I like Jess Bush and I like the portrayal. I wish she was a different character. I wish this was just a brand new character we never met before.
But these characters have to be updated. If Nurse Chapel was 60s Nurse Chapel, then she is just this like weak, like 60s stereotypical female character, and who would want that in anything?
Well, what do you mean by that? What did she say or do specifically?
Nothing. Has no agency of her own. Anything she ever said had to service a male character. That's all she was. And if that's what you want from a Chapel,
I want them to be consistent with the character. I don't think you have to.
No, you can't do that from the 60s. Like some of these, like it's like they had to update Uhura. They can't have her beaming down to a planet and going, Captain, I'm frightened.
Well, just don't give her that line. But like,
no,
I don't
but
think
that's the character. That was that character. That character. Of Uhura that
Sometimes,
you're looking back
but-
of with nostalgically was a weak person. That's how they wrote her. Like it sucks
I
to
never
say.
thought.
We
I
all
never
love
felt she
Michelle
was that
Nichols,
weak. I never
but-
even felt Chapel was that.
You know what, Dave? I never thought she was weak growing up and watching it, but when we did the rewatch in 2020, I was actually, if we ever talk about this again, I was a bit disappointed with how the portrayal of particularly women, and maybe it's
It
just
was
me
awful.
getting older. And to quote your father, it was the 60s. They didn't know any better. I get that, but I do not like when another thing that for me that comes back is this whole thing that we saw on the cruise when we were watching Kate Mulgrew talk about, and you see these women get up in the audience and say, "You defined why I went into science or why I wanted to go into the military." Like these are like Janeway was a captain. She was presence. Like I respect that a lot and
Powerful.
Right, and I go back and I'm almost embarrassed for Star Trek just to see how they wrote Uhura and Rand and
Didn't Whoopi Goldberg growing up watching Nichelle Nichols as Uhura and was inspired and
yes,
but not
and we celebrate
inspired
Nichelle Nichols to this day
was
because she saw a black woman on TV that wasn't a maid. It didn't go any farther than that. It doesn't go any farther than that in her her monologue about that experience. It was just the first time seeing a black person that wasn't a servant. Now, I bet you if she went back and watched that now, she'd be like, ew. Like, I find TOS mostly unwatchable because of the way they write females.
And the other one I want to say, they
takes you out of it every 5 minutes.
Yeah, and they laud this for interracial kiss, which was important. I'm glad it happened.
Mm-hmm.
However, when you watch how it happened, it wasn't because she or they wanted to. It was because they were forced to. And
exactly.
It's a letdown to me. Like now,
I disagree, and I think
so. You would want Chapel as she was written in TOS in the 60s.
Let me say what made peace. I think that the original series holds up a lot better than you give it credit for, Davan. I think it was revolutionary for its time. I don't think that these characters are as weak as you want to consider them. And I think you're a little bit more fixated. You're a little bit more fixated on these anachronisms from the 60s than need to be like amplified, and therefore we're going to take a character like Christine Chapel and we're going to turn her into a completely different person. Like she's a completely different person.
She wasn't a person.
Then don't. Okay. Again,
like what do you want? Like what are these traits of 60s Christine Chapel that you miss so much?
If I can interject here, I do think one thing, Dave. Like I was thinking a lot about our conversation on Monday, and I love World War Z, the book. Love it. And then this movie comes along called World War Z, and I like the movie, but they should never have called it that. And it's to that. Like, I mean, I get what you're saying. They could have had a nurse, and they didn't need to call her Nurse Chapel. They could have called her Nurse whatever.
Sure.
And have the push character. So I would have been happy with that too.
I completely disagree because I think it's refreshing to take these characters that were treated so terribly, whether you want to believe it or not, in the 60s. Like, name 5 character traits from 1960s Christine Chapel. You can't.
She's the
she
nurse.
Doesn't have any. That's not a character trait. That's her job.
Well, she works with the doc. She works with Doc McCoy.
That's her servicing a man.
She's in love with Spock. Spock doesn't love her back.
So that's all. That's all you got.
No, she's a Starfleet officer as well.
That's her job.
She participated in several missions. I think you are.
Those aren't character traits. None of those things you said were character traits.
Well, she's only in 25 of the 79 episodes.
Any man character who's in 25 episodes has character traits. That's my point. Now, the end of my point is, so you take these characters like Nichelle Nichols or like Uhura and Chapel, who weren't given the dialogue or the agency that the male characters were on that show, and give them that now. Then you keep these characters in the lore of Star Trek, but now they actually have something to hang their hat on.
So you're retconning all of the original series basically out of existence. This is what Chris has talked about.
No, not at all. What's being retconned? You're just making these characters have agency and be better. You're not keeping all female characters that reference TOS. What? Go ahead.
Is the original series canon or not?
It's sure, but that's like it's not making a character better. doesn't step all over canon. They do it all the time. DS9 made Worf a better character than TNG. That didn't step all over and make TNG not canon.
That comes after TNG, right? Worf on Deep Space Nine chronologically in the canon comes after.
I think that some flexibility has to be. Like, first of all, in order for Star Trek to continue, and I'm talking, I want to be here in 20 years talking to you guys about this. We have to have some freshness and some reimagination, if you want to call it that, into the characters to give them more gravitas in the 20th century or 21st century right now. Like, I want new fans to come on board, and they ain't coming on board in the original series.
No, not the ladies. But no, look at it this way, Dave. You were fine with the visual reboot, right? Like, you realized that
to an
because
extent,
we're in a different time, like, you have to make things look not like the 60s series.
I would rather them. They've gone a little far with it, in my opinion.
Everything's too holographic. I agree.
It's too white in the hallways. I think you can update.
But you understand?
Yes,
but you get my point.
To a degree.
Same thing. It's like a character. It's like the character equivalent of a visual reboot. You have
the ship is a character, so it feels like a new character, right? You're saying that this is the same ship. That I guess I still think that the original series has value. I still think that those portrayals by that original cast, including Nichelle Nichols, including Majel Barrett, were good and deserve to not be like erased and
but nobody's erasing them. Like, they're all.
It's not that their performances were bad. It's like the way their characters were written was bad.
Like, knowing what we know about Gene Roddenberry today, and what a interesting guy he was. Yeah. Like, I don't really. I just look at that era. I go, yes, this created such a wonderful thing. Star Trek is being created in the '60s, and now we've moved forward. But some of the things I just don't like about the '60s. It wasn't even the '60s. It just was evolution of people and evolution of culture and how we treated each other as gender. And all I see this is as a step forward in the evolution of the show itself. And
those characters, I think.
And those characters. I mean, I'm okay if somebody 20 odd years old is now watching Strange New Worlds and this is their Uhura.
I think it should be.
I would be okay with it if it was a different reality, if it was multiversal. But I don't understand how Jess Bush's chapel becomes Majel Barrett's chapel.
But like Major Barrett's chapel isn't anything though. Like what does she
it's
become?
Canon. It's canon. It counts.
No, but like it doesn't
matter. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter how bad she's portrayed. It is what it is.
Becomes a character. No, it's just like having different actors play a different character.
Well, I don't like that either. There are times I can accept a recast. Like I was saying, like, okay, there wasn't much there to Pike. Give me a new version of Pike or an updated.
But there wasn't much there to Chapel, man. There was more to Pike than there was to Chapel. Not really.
Like, I think you're downplaying it more than okay, what about the episode with Roger Corby? What are little girls made of? And she's got, and who we'll talk about.
Yeah, she talks about the men she used to date for a little bit in the episode. Yeah, right. Like, again, she's just at the service of the male characters. That's all they are in that show. And they get the glitter filter. And
I didn't write the thing, so I'm not trying to defend what was written. I'm trying to say that it was written. It's done. It's in the can. It's on.
Okay.
the
So
TV.
Can I just ask you another question? Because they were written and they were underdeveloped. Can we agree to that?
Yeah, but so was like Chekhov and Sulu and a lot of other characters.
Not in comparison.
But okay, but even that, like Sulu, all in the
Sulu,
movie became interesting. He was barely in the show, honestly.
Yeah, tell me what was so complex about Sulu in the original series.
Nothing.
But he wasn't supposed to be, though. He was just supposed to be a day player. He wasn't supposed to be like.
Well, so was Chapel.
Exactly.
But
make them something more. So he got to be more. He got to fly her apart then. Chapel doesn't get that. So do it now.
Chapel's barely in the movies, so I think it's easier to let go of her, I guess, but Uhura, I
get you just don't want prequels at all. Like, you're going to run into these problems as long as they make prequels. You don't want recasted characters. Like, you just don't want them to touch anything you've seen
especially
before. If keeping in mind that they're going to do that, at least for this show. Like, you have to kind of accept certain things. Like, I know you don't like the premise of prequel to begin with, and I'm not big on that. I'd rather them continue, the timeline we all love. But I liked Enterprise, and I felt like this era between Enterprise and TOS was, there's stuff to mine there,
Sure,
stuff worth seeing. Mm-hmm. But to do that, you do have to revisit some of these characters if you set it on Enterprise.
And I think I would have rather, like, Discovery was the attempt to do, okay, we're gonna do a prequel, but it's a new ship, right? But Discovery,
but that didn't go so well.
That's the other thing I think that they learned is, like, they didn't go well, and now you've got a show where people are. I think that it's a very popular show. It sounds like
and I do like the show.
I think so. It's hard to say. People
like
hate Paramount now.
I guess I would consider myself more of a Star Trek purist in the sense that, like, I think that for better or worse, what happened. Okay, and so if Chapel is not a strong character in original series, I think to reinvent her as a strong character is kind of just confusing to me.
Why is it confusing?
Because that's not the character. The character, you can have a weak character. It's possible to have a weak character.
Sure, but what you're doing is limiting every female character ever portrayed on TOS as a weak character, because they all were.
Well, then don't do it then. Then don't.
But that's what I'm saying. Now, but now we're here. Now we're in a prequel, and we're visiting some of these characters. So the two options are make good, strong female characters that we all want to root for, or make every female character weak like they used to be in TOS.
Bring in new characters is also your option. You can limit how many of these legacy characters you bring in, because the show.
So you don't bring in any of the female ones.
Not if they're all weak, I guess. So,
but that's not fair. You see what I'm saying? So you have to kind of get over that.
I'm not getting over it. Like Una was an original was from that original pilot. You could have done anything with Una. Okay, and what have they done?
She's awesome.
They haven't done much with her compared to, I guess, Chapel.
I think she's cool.
She's okay. And
Lon's a good character.
Lon, again, let's make her the niece of Khan or whatever.
I could take or leave Lon.
And it kind of ties into this second episode for me, as well as this first one. Okay. Oh well, the Gorn. They're not what you thought. We thought they were weak in that original portrayal with the rubber suit. So we're going to reimagine them as xenomorphs because that's cool. And
they were going for more alien and more threatening.
And then we get Trelane in the second episode, right? Who's not named as such. But the Squire of Gothos. Did the Squire of Gothos not happen? Was that an episode that, so when Spock meets Trelane in Squire of Gothos, why doesn't he know who he is?
Yeah, but why didn't Spock ever meet his younger sister that he grew up with?
Well, he maybe did. I can I can excuse that as
or Cybok.
No, that's worse.
But that's off screen. That's off screen stuff. That's different than contradicting on screen stuff.
Well, there are scenes where he talks about his family members, and he doesn't ever mention his sister. But yeah,
but he was classified, I guess. And they had to write that in, right, in order to make it work. I'm like, I don't like that they made Michael Burnham the sister of Spock. I never have, right? Like, I would have just, you could have said she was adopted by a Vulcan, and made the same character. She doesn't have to be Spock's sister. And I guess which comes into the second episode, which is like, okay, we got Spock.
I think we're going to agree a lot on our take on episode 2. We just got into it a little bit about episode 1.
Okay, was Spock a weak character in the original series?
Never.
No, because he was a man.
He was a man, but this new version is a very different Vulcan. He's a very different person.
Sure, but he's younger.
Emotion today.
He's doing samba dances with La'an. I don't see Leonard Nimoy's version ever having done that unless he was mind controlled or something like that. I know he's not a Herbert, but he's like Spock. Like, we watched all those original series episodes, Adam. Like, I have a pretty good feel for who these characters were in those in original series and in the movies, and this version is like.
Do you not sense the wink and a nod from Spock in that old series, though? Like, don't you feel like he was putting it on for Bones and Jim? I always did. Like, he's playing the ignorant Vulcan in relation to human stuff. Like, he's still half human. That never made sense to me. But then when you go back and watch it, he's like he's almost smirking half the time. Like he's
like,
playing that stuff up. He's playing all that stuff
I
up.
don't necessarily agree. I think that Spock went out. I think Leonard Nimoy went out of his way to play Spock as a very serious, logical Vulcan. He was trying to give us this character that yes has emotions underneath.
He was creating the character as he went too, and I think he did marvelous.
So
job.
there were inconsistencies because he's making it up as he goes.
He's making it up as goes, but it's already, that character's already written. It's the same. It's my same complaint with Chapel and all the rest of them, right? I'm like, I don't see how this guy becomes that guy in 5 years, and it's. And
people do change a lot. That's kind of like not something to, I think, trouble your mind about, because like people do change. People do change just because you like this portrayal of a person. Like there may be somebody in your own life that you like the way they used to be a lot better than the way they are now. It's the same thing.
Like I enjoy when you see like
you
when
can't come home again.
But when you saw like T'Pring in this show, like Strange New Worlds versus the Search for Spock when they were coming home.
Yeah.
Voyage Home Voyage Home, I guess. Whenever they were getting his Katra into McCoy, or taking it out.
Search for Spock.
Those two, yeah. Like I like this portrayal of the Vulcan culture better than I did the movies and certainly the show, because it's just more. It gives you more insight into what they are.
Well,
I think it's. Go ahead.
They don't need Pon Farr to have sex. They apparently have sex all the time.
Exactly. As they would.
I don't buy it.
See, like, there's a difference between respecting canon and being limited by that canon. Like, there's wiggle room there. There's this whole beautiful gray area, like, that's ripe for storytelling, and respecting canon at the same time.
My only thing
you can't be limited by like one writer of one episode's vision, because it's not like one writer going through an entire series even of this franchise. This is a million different writers all doing their, like, tossing their shit at the wall, so it's gonna be messy. You gotta let it be messy.
They riff on the greatest hits a little too much for me. I think
me too.
I'm like, okay, well, we need Trelane here.
No, we don't.
We don't. You can introduce a new character, a new problem. Like, we got to bring the Gorn back. We can't introduce a new alien. We have to. It's
Let's
lazy.
start agreeing about episode 2, shall we? So, sure. Trelane.
Wait. So
he's like, no agreement.
What's your rating on this? Because I don't know.
All right, yeah, bring it up.
Okay, give me a second. Here.
I am going to drop mine down to a 9. I did like Hegemony one quite a bit better, I think. It had a lot of tension, and I do like this Scotty.
I like the actor, but it's just hard for me to accept him as Scotty. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but sorry.
Believe it or not, everybody, Dave and I are related.
We only share a certain percentage of DNA, though. So
yeah, totally.
I do have a couple of fun facts.
What is that?
I don't know how to get on the screen. Hold on, there it is. Okay, it was the sound effect that Ashley made me add to play anytime Jody was talking too much. It's from it's that episode of Lower Decks where they're on the Orion world and like the Orion Queen has like this bird thing. You even made my bird. All right. Anyway, ratings. Sorry, got there finally. And escape is my hotkey for that.
What did I give Hegemony Part 1?
You gave it an 8.5.
What? I don't do halves.
Well, you did it. I didn't.
It was 2 years ago, Davan. You don't remember.
It was 2 years ago. You were drunk, I guess. I don't know.
I'm making it a 10, and I'm making Hegemony Part 2 a 9.
All right. And what do you want to give Wedding Bell Blues?
I don't do halves. That's so weird. Oh my God. I gave it a 2.
Okay. And Adam, do you want to throw down a rating for?
This was not. This is the throwaway episode of these 10. I hope that's it. For me, it's a 6.5.
Ashley gave it a 9,
She gave it a 9. Yeah. Okay,
Who's
and I will say
T-Rav?
there was a couple things I kind of liked in the episode.
But before, can I gotta just talk because there's no fun facts last Thursday. I got just a couple right now on this.
Sure.
I know you guys want to keep this short, but there's a couple cool things. There's a star chart in the briefing room that shows the demarcation lines between the Gorn and the Federation.
Yeah, I like that.
The star chart shows the northern boundary is close to the Cestus system, and in 2267, the Gorn attack a Federation colony on Cestus 3, which we know about, killing most of the colonists and attacking the Starfleet outpost as well. The Gorn then used the outpost communication system to lure the Enterprise into the Cestus system, leading James C. Kirch to the famous confrontation with Captain the Gorn ship in the arena. And then intervention forced the Gorn to cede the Cestus back into the Federation. So, Dave, there was a bit of canon, using that map anyway. And then the other cool thing on this episode, in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, it revealed that the Federation reestablished a colony on Cestus 3, naming the capital city
Pike City.
Pike City, in honor of Captain Pike. The season 4 premiere, The Wave of the Warrior, also reveals in 2371 the colonists of Cestus 3 formed the first baseball league since the 21st century, comprised of 6 teams.
Cestus 3 Pioneers, Pike City Pioneers, I think.
Pike City Pioneers, yeah.
That's right. And Cassidy Yates played for them.
There you go.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
she's
well,
a good third baseman, I believe.
She's a third baseman.
So, see, all right, now back to the problems with.
Wedding Bell Blues?
Yes. So,
Okay.
Trek Reviewer, maybe, he says, maybe with John Delancey voicing Trelane's dad, it could be Q Jr. instead of Trelane. No, Trek Reviewer, it's worse than that. What they're saying is Q Jr. is Trelane.
Right.
This
Does that bother
episode
you?
was written by ChatGPT. It's not that it bothers me, it's just that it's so lazy. It's just so lazy. You don't have to start making separate characters the same character just to make it easier for people.
Like, if you go back to the Peter David wrote a novel in like the 90s, Q Squared, where this idea was basically like already thrown out there. And it's been in like a lot of the theories over the years have been, oh, Trelane is so Q-like. And there's even that episode of Next Generation where Q...
I'm fine with Trelane being a Q. That doesn't bother me at all. That's just...
But that he's Q Jr.?
That's stupid. No, he was always a Q. Like, he even does the finger snap thing. That always just made perfect sense.
That always made sense to you? Yeah.
Of course. Like, it just... Or else, like, I feel like whatever Trelane is would have come up a lot more times. Because somebody that powerful, that interested in humanity, you know what I mean? He's obviously a Q. But in the, he doesn't have to call himself Q. That's something they call each other more so. But the thing about the reason why what they're suggesting is definitely that Q Jr. is Trelane is because Q are non-linear beings. So as soon as... It's weird to think of it this way, but as soon as Q has Q Jr., he has always had Q Jr. Q Jr. is also a non-linear being. So it's like, so when he's talking to Sonny Boy, he only ever has one son. That's one thing you know about Q. He will only ever have one son. He's a non-linear being. If he had several, we'd know about it already because he would have came back and he would have talked to like Q Jr. and been like, hey, buddy, my brother, like, you know what I mean? Non-linear beings. It's confusing, I know. But the point is, that's stupid, and it's like written by ChatGPT.
Okay. Well, where to start?
ChatGPT always goes for all the low-hanging fruit. And
well, so do certain writers. And who wrote and infamously, this episode is written by Kirsten Beyer, who I'm not a fan of.
Okay. No, neither am I. I actually have some comics of her Star Trek comics of hers that are better than her episode writing.
Discovery. A lot of the episodes I haven't liked in Picard and Discovery over the last decade have come from her, and this one is also in that mix for me. There was things like I think from a set decoration and like the fun of the episode and like them all dancing at the end. Like I want to get into that and I want to enjoy it, and I kind of do.
You think that Wham will still be a thing in that?
Yes,
maybe that's an oldie.
Sure is.
Okay, but back to the Trelane stuff, like, or they don't even say it's Trelane, and then
do they not?
No, they never say Trelane. Oh, the writers have confirmed he is Trelane, like in interviews. But
Dave, you would need to know
okay.
the canon to understand that. Like, there's not again.
Yes.
If you're dropped into this episode, no clue.
no clue.
But how much do you have to understand the Q reference? Like, this whole episode is just
Well,
fan
again,
service
if
for people who are already in
Strange
playing
New Worlds is
inside
your introduction
baseball.
to Star Trek, you're not
Then
getting.
this episode means nothing.
It's so weird.
No,
It'd be so
it would
weird.
Be a fun
I would
episode
imagine.
to watch. That's all. You don't need to know the history.
Was it fun?
Well, at best, it's basically just a reboot of the Squire of Gothos in a different setting. At best, right? Because it's even the same ending where the Green Cloud comes and says, "Hey, Sonny boy, you're being a bad little omnipotent entity, and you got to go home." And this time they give it the voice of John Delancey, which I guess is meant to confirm he's a Q and that the Green Cloud is a Q. But couldn't it just be an alien with the voice of John Delancey? Like, does it have to be Q, or is that like just like are we
Well,
just?
they never said it was Q.
Yes, because the whole point of this episode is to clear up that air about whether Trelane is a Q or not. It's like that Enterprise episode that only exists to explain Klingon foreheads. This episode only exists to make Trelane a Q in canon.
They didn't have to do this ending to do that, though. They could have just they could have had him leave and just snap out, and he just does the Q flash. And then
they didn't have to make him Q Junior. They definitely
didn't have to have John Delancey show up here and voice a Green Cloud.
Are you really mad
fan
about
service? Fan service.
that? Dave, are you really mad about that? I kind of
What,
like
that Delancey showed up?
Yeah, I don't
Mad
ever
about
mind
it.
hearing his voice.
I'm mad that they just basically redid Squire Gothos, but with this love story on top of it, which has got this very different version of Spock who's doing samba dancing with Leon, who we can disagree, but I don't think Leonard Nimoy's version would do such a thing, especially at this time in his life where he's more conservative, he's more traditional Vulcan guy, and then he's pouring his heart out in front of everybody at the end for Christine while they're getting like fake married, and it serves the plot because he knows that a strong emotion like love can bring her out of the trance. Okay, that they set up there, and I think that who's the guy who plays Spock in this?
Ethan's back.
Ethan Peck, great performance. He nails it in a lot of ways,
very
but
good.
and then I'm like, oh, that was good. Who is this Vulcan? Oh, he's Spock, right? That's not Spock. Spock, like unless he was like drunk or he was like somehow had his Vulcan controls removed, he wouldn't say or do these things, or at least not. He would be incredibly uncomfortable to do them, right?
Let me say this, Dave. Here's what I think you should do. Because
You just want me to get over it, but
no,
I'm not getting over it.
No. I want you to give it a bit of grace. And here's what I'm saying: because people do change, and I'm not entirely uncertain that they don't know what they're doing here. So I think that the important thing is here. I think what'll make you feel a lot better about Spock and everything is his relation. They're gonna bring in Kirk more, I think, by season 5. Now, I think it's his relationship with Kirk that'll make or break it for you. And once they bring in this,
it's never going to break it for me. They shouldn't even have a relationship. Like in what's the episode? The Menagerie, where Pike's in his wheelchair and he's only one light or two lights, and Kirk says, "Well, yeah, I took over the Enterprise from him, but I don't." You get the impression that Kirk doesn't really know Pike very well. Maybe like they had one like in passing,
and he doesn't really in this show so far either.
So far, but if you're saying like they're going to become like some kind of
Strange New Worlds, they sure did. Not Strange New Worlds. Sorry, Star Trek 2009.
Oh sure, yeah. I mean, those are awful. I mean, I like they're not.
But the whole generation of people grew up as that was Star Trek to them.
And so there you have it. like your Star Trek is never gonna meet their Star Trek.
No, I guess because to them, like Spock and Uhura are a thing based on their.
And Spock is like a rageaholic who punches people and like doesn't understand like what a Kobayashi Maru is.
Yeah, he even slaps Roger Corby. And we haven't even talked about the fact they brought Roger Corby into this mix, right?
Now this is where I agree with you. I think if you're just gonna make a non-Irish character Irish, you might as well make him a different character. This is just inserting characters for namesake. But like the thing is,
Again,
they're inserting
but-
these characters
so
in
I
for
think-
people who don't know who Roger Corby is anyway.
But here's
So,
the
like-
thing, exactly, Davin. Like the only one, either you're making people happy by doing this, or you're pissing them off, like Dave.
No, you're either pissing them off or they don't care at all because they don't know who it is.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because like those people who knew original series know. But by the way, on IMDb now, John Delancey's credited as Q, and Rhys Darby, who played Trelane, is Trelane.
All right. Well, I guess it counts now.
But
It's
Rhys
over.
Darby was very good. That guy was very good in this episode. My
At least
problem
they didn't
with
call him Q Jr.
But
Yeah,
he's
my-
nothing like the original Roger Corby, who
No,
was, I
no,
know,
he's
an
Irish
android
now.
Roger Corby, but he's Irish now. He's
And
much
not
younger.
at all cool. Not
He's
at all cool.
So
Roger
he
Corby
very
was
cool
just like
back
an
then either,
obsessive
but-
scientist.
He was
and you don't
very
get
not
that at
cool
all.
in his original portrayal.
But my problem with this episode is that, and Dave, you know this about me, is they have 10 episodes, and when they're picking, what they're going to do, in all the stories they have, this made it, and this is where I'm pissed, because you always have 2 throwaway episodes out of these 10, and it bothers me.
This might be the only throwaway of this.
Oh, let's
series,
hope
I
so.
feel.
Because like I went back, and there's some episodes that I really slagged on when they came out, but now I kind of like. But I don't think I'm gonna like this one as much. This is a one-time watch for me. I'm done with that.
Yeah. I still
Yeah.
haven't made it to the end. I still think there's like a minute or so left, and I just it took me 5 watches to get as far as I did through this episode.
But like for me, again, like I love the episodes that are 50 minutes, like 50, and
yeah,
and this like Hegemony 2 was 52 minutes, I think it was.
Wow.
Perfect. It didn't feel long. It didn't feel short. It was just perfect. It was a great length. This one, again, I felt, oh man, like when's it gonna wrap up?
Yeah. My last
nothing
complaint
burger.
with them. Okay, when Strange New Worlds season 1 starts, it's 2259. Again, I know I'm a stickler for the canon, but I just want to know what friggin' year it is, okay? And then for most of season 2, because season 2 kind of picks up right from season 1, we're left with this assumption that it's 2259 for most of season 2. But for them to be celebrating the Federation Centennial in this episode in 2261, somehow we got to 2261, all that. So where did
And
2
when did
years
the
go?
show start?
2259.
Yeah, see that makes sense because what I've noticed in Star Trek is if they don't tell you what year it is, every season is the next year.
So there's a lot of
Yeah, that
confusion
happens
right now
a ton of times.
with the canon-ites like me. Like when did we flip? It wasn't at the beginning of season 2. It wasn't. At some point in the middle of season 2, we flipped to 2260, and then I guess we skipped all of 2260 or most of it, and now we're in 2261.
Yep.
Hey, did you know this though? At the wedding, Scotty was wearing the dress uniform with the kilt, right? It was the same dress uniform you wore in There Is No Truth, No Beauty. They're in
Truth, No Beauty.
Yeah.
Good, because that's the canon, and that would be the uniform he would wear, right? He would also look like James Doohan.
We just need to clone William Shatner. That's all we need to do. And Jimmy Doohan, Dave will like.
I was
have
willing to
nothing
accept just Spock, okay, being there, and then now it's like the whole we're gonna reinvent
because he's like cliche in Star Trek at this point.
I know.
Spock
I
is
get
like.
it. And I get you need him there because if you're going to tell the Pike story, you need the younger version of Spock, right? But I would have kept him more Vulcan, more Leonard Nimoy-esque, and I would have avoided bringing in characters like Chapel or Uhura, and Kirk and now Scotty and all them in because you're kind of stepping on the toes of original series, and I think for you, Davin, that doesn't matter because you find it unwatchable mostly. And
no, it's more like I think I can agree with you with some of the male characters maybe, but I think this is the perfect opportunity to make something of these female characters.
I guess, I don't know.
I think you have to bring in Chapel and Uhura if you do this show, in my opinion.
Here's the thing, Dave.
You could bring them in later too.
I know you're not going to agree with me.
I'd bring in Yeoman Rand too
on this, but if you were saying, okay, your friend comes to you and says, okay, I want to watch Star Trek, where will you start them?
That's a good question because I've been thinking about this recently, and I would probably
Deep
say
Space Nine, Episode 1.
No, I would probably start them in season 2 of Next Generation, maybe.
Yeah, there's good stuff in season 2.
Because I don't know if the pilot. Okay, you go back to Encounter Farpoint, which I think is okay, but like I think for a lot of people coming in to watch this, they go, "Oh, this is not the show for me." Right?
No one needs to see Groppler Zorn.
Yeah.
No one does.
So there are, but like if you don't know who Tasha Yar is and some things, you might need to go back and watch that after, to refresh yourself. My buddy
Murphy
Andy
says his buddy Andy never watched Star Trek and he's starting with Enterprise. That's actually not a bad place to start, Murphy.
Not bad.
That's probably where
Not
I
bad.
would start somebody, because it's like going back to the beginning but not doing TOS.
I think I guess this is not a huge problem for Deep Space Nine, but the fact that it starts off with Battle of Wolf 359, and if you have no idea
I was joking. It's
with the Borgar, I think
that's how you suck them in to become Trekkies forever.
But hold on, Davan. Would you really start them with Deep Space Nine? Because
I wouldn't.
Really drags.
No, I wouldn't. What? What were you to say?
Season 1.
Season 1.
Season 1 of Deep Space Nine is as good as most seasons of all the other Trek shows. But
okay,
it does have some.
Enterprise is not a bad idea. I like that idea.
I like that idea too.
I think that there's certain episodes of Next Gen where you could, but you don't have to do a season. You could skip.
You could even just cherry pick the 5 best episodes from season 2 and say start with these, and then you can watch season through on basically.
Right, but I would not start with Discovery. I think it's too confusing.
No.
It's also the least Star Trek.
Could you start them on Strange New Worlds?
Yes.
Or do you need to understand?
We just probed this question on Class L Probes, and Adam ended up settling on you start with Strange New Worlds. Remember that, Adam?
Yeah, I'm convinced now that's the way to start. If you're young, if you want to get into Star Trek, it's got to be interesting, and there's too much. Sorry, I listen. You guys know my feeling on Star Trek, so it's not. I don't mean to sound like I'm saying. I think that the original series, no, forget it. You cannot go back. It is too old.
Alienate half your audience immediately.
Right, and if you're a female, you're going to be pissed.
Or a feminist male.
Yeah,
I'm feminist. For the record, I just don't think you have to. I get the 60s was a bad portrayal of women in some ways, but I didn't make it, and it's canon, and it is what it is. And it's you have to judge a show for the time it's made in, not for all of history.
No, but
you want to carry that on through all of
only
history.
if you're going to bring these characters back. I think reinventing them as brand new people is a disservice.
All right, I'm trying to I'm looking at it as preserving and encouraging the franchise to continue.
Yeah.
And yes, we're going to have some disagreements along the way, and that's fine with me. But I love this franchise so much that I can see past a few things. And Ken is not that important as it is to me as it is to you, Dave.
Yeah, fair enough.
However, the reimagination of certain characters have been really good. To me, I'm not disappointed, and I would start with Strange New Worlds. I stand by that now.
Right,
and most of them were better. Pike is better now.
I like the Bruce Greenwood.
Uhura's better now. Yeah, I liked him. Bruce Greenwood's just good. I like.
I like this Uhura because this Uhura doesn't bother me as much as being so different than the original portrayal. Chapel is at the top of that list for me. And I get your reason.
Well, she's a modern character. She's not a person who would even exist in the 60s. She's a very modern.
Right. But the show is Star Trek, the original series, is set in the 2260s. For whatever reason, right? And that's how, but that was their imagining of the future then. And if we just want to retcon it away, okay, but let's have that discussion, right? Where,
Well, let's have that discussion.
Do the movies not count? Does Star Trek 4 not count? It's are they going to remake?
They count.
Did Uhura not? She had more agency in those movies, I would say, than she did.
Not really.
Yeah,
she tried to talk Klingon to a Klingon once.
Well, tell me exactly what it means to you. You want them to be in charge? You want them to be the captain?
No, I want her to just watch Star Trek 4, any of the movies, and watch what the male characters get to do, and then watch what she gets to do. Maybe she should get to do some of the.
She's the only female character present.
Yes, but she doesn't get to do anything. Like with the lines we talk about from like Voyage Home, for example, we talk about transparent aluminum. We talk about doing LDS. We talk about a lot of the things the male characters do. Nuclear vessels. We don't talk about anything a female character does.
She's the
ever.
only female
And
character amongst the 7 of them.
We can apply that to all the
there
movies and all the shows.
there
We don't
was-
talk about anything a female character does ever because there's no reason to.
I think you obsess over this more than necessary. That's all.
I think you wash over it more than necessary.
I think that she definitely, her presence on screen became more apparent. She was definitely there more than she certainly was in the series, in the movies. Even if it was a little quirky with that whole cyborg crap and all. Yeah, that was weird. But,
when she wanted to get down with Scotty.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
when you think of Next Gen, like I don't even like the female characters weren't even that great in that show.
In season 1, they're every bit as bad as TOS.
Yeah, the early
a
days.
lot of season 2 as well.
Like Vosh was the strongest character you had, and she wasn't even regular. Like she was only in 3 episodes.
And she was just the stereotypical like vixen kind of character.
Yeah, it's interesting because Davan, you look at the world a little differently than I do. I think you want to be the advocate for the women, and I like women advocate for themselves. I think it's just that's part of the disconnect for me. But it's not that I totally don't. I'm against strong female characters. I'm definitely not. I just think if you have these, to say that these characters suck because it was made in the '60s and it's too sexist and we have to completely throw out the original series, I think that's going too far.
No, but no one but you has mentioned the sentence of throwing out the original series. I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's great episodes in there. Like Balance of Terror should go nowhere. Would it be better if like a female character did something in that episode? Sure, maybe. But it's a great episode anyway.
But even like at the end of season 1, they give us in the Quality of Mercy, right? Like they tell us, well, this is the new version of the Balance of Terror, and it's not Shatner, it's Paul Wesley, and and I'm just like, okay.
Cool. I like that episode a lot too.
And the Romulan ship that looks the inside of the Romulan ship looks completely different, and
visual reboot.
And
but you know what else though? When you think about female characters in Next Gen, like again, I was just thinking more about who else was portrayed as very strong was the Romulan.
Just
commander.
Pulaski, pretty much just Pulaski.
No, Romulan female commanders.
Oh, like Denatra and not Denatra.
I can't remember.
I know what you mean. I can't remember. Her
she
name.
doesn't have a name. You mean from the Enterprise
credit.
incident? Is that the one you mean?
Maybe
The one that the Bill Ross, or not Bill Ross. Yeah, that's DS9, I guess. Same character, isn't it? When Bill Ross sends down the river.
As
like
who?
He completely screws her over.
As same character as who?
It's the same, isn't it? The same female Romulan character in DS9 and TNG. That same.
I don't know if it
it
is.
was
Might
the
be-
same actress. I don't know.
Same actress. I think we covered it. It was, but it was a different character.
Okay.
But we're talking. I think Adam was originally referencing the Enterprise incident from original series and the Romulan commander. She doesn't have. I know you've talked about like she has.
Oh, Charvanek.
In the novel, she has a name and whatever, but in the show, she just doesn't get a name. And she's a strong female character in the original series.
I mean, kind of. She's still kind of just this stereotype vixen character in a way, but
Right.
sure.
Yeah,
More so than other female
I
characters.
think. I think your standard is very like you don't like any kind of femininity being portrayed in these characters.
No, I like femininity. I don't like cliches. If all they are is this sexual femininity, there's not a lot of character.
But that's not all she is.
No, she's okay. She's okay.
Oh yeah, I liked her. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't even referring to her. I'm talking about the original series.
Yeah, you're talking about TNG.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Funny
with-
thing is, the Charvanek, like her real life granddaughter, also played a Romulan.
Yeah, I think she actually played it was in like the fan fiction series, like the Star Trek Continues or whatever, like that. I think they brought the daughter in to play that version. Sharvan.
They also reference Shelby, Commander Shelby, as one of the.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Shelby is like the first time they kind of like write a woman well in TNG. That's season 3. That's kind of where they start to make it a little better, but then they sort of just go back to women are only love interests, and
I think they attempted.
They almost never write Deanna well until the movies. No, in the later season, she's a little.
No, but when she wanted to become a bridge capability or whatever, command, I think it changed then. I
agree.
But anyway,
it was the 80s.
But progress. 90s. It's the 80s and the 90s.
And I'm trying to say, I hate this idea. And I know I'm the only one saying it, but it's just like, well, that stuff's too archaic. It's too old.
No,
it's too whatever.
Not at all. I'm not saying that.
Not all aspects of it.
Certain aspects.
And you make those certain aspects you make better, and certain aspects that's what I'm saying about the canon. Like, you respect the canon, but you don't be limited by the time in which it was made.
And I don't want them
to one writer who proposed this one thing. Or like you can't.
And we wouldn't do that. Like I would change. I just wouldn't go as far with it as like they're taking it a little far.
And
keep the spirit of the character. Like, and I know you're saying there wasn't a lot of meat on the bone to start with Chapel.
There wasn't for the female
right? Like, but there was a bit. There, she
had a crush on Spock.
That's about it. That was about it. Like, and
again, not agency.
Not it, but it didn't. It wasn't. She wasn't designed as a character to have agency. Like,
and now she is.
But here's the other thing, guys.
Now she's a human being.
Back then, they basically.
Or she was a set piece.
They wrote for 4 people.
Yeah, they wrote for the 3 leads basically, and that was it.
Basically, just 3. Yeah.
And the guest star.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the guest star.
Right. If there was one. Yeah, I don't know, and it's changed, and I get it.
And now we're writing for 15 people. It seems like.
I don't think
sometimes it's too much. Yeah.
I guess like I'm not the only one. Like when Enterprise was on, I felt like they were holding on too hard to the original series, and then we have to like stick with so many aspects, like even like changing. Let's go back to gold on the uniforms, and let's like versus the division colors and certain things they were staying super true to because they were trying to set a show before original series, and I do respect that they kept a lot of that. It wasn't like Hoshi was not a strong female character with agency, right? But she was.
Hoshi didn't get much to do,
or to Paul, or whoever, right? Like, but those characters were brand new characters, and you could do whatever. You're not going to like step on stuff like this. But when you're recasting existing characters, and rewriting them again in brand new ways, and you're saying that this is going to lead directly into original series, I'm still struggling with it after 3 going into the 3rd season, I guess. That's all. And thank you for listening to my little inner rant because I needed to get it off my chest in a way that wasn't specific, like anyway.
Well, we all agree that this episode was a nothing burger.
Episode 2? I gave it a 3. I gave it a 3, and that's low for me. That's
generous. That's generous.
So
see, I gave it a 6.5 because I kind of like the Trelane and the Kennedy reference. That was kind of the same.
Oh, did you?
Okay. I didn't hate that, but I do. I don't know. It's
did you
lazy.
Like,
I guess I feel it's lazy and boring and unoriginal. So
did you like Pike's green wraparound uniform?
I do like the green wraparound. They've been improving it slowly, and I thought like the costuming and like the set design and all that looked amazing. Like it's even though it's whatever breaking with canon, I can accept a certain level of it, just like I can with these reinterpretations of the characters. Just.
So I'm looking forward to getting up tomorrow morning and seeing what we've got for tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night we're covering episode 3, Shuttle to Kinfori. Tune in for that, and we'll talk.
Apparently, it's a banger. Murphy promises it's a banger.
He's seen it?
No, he reads things.
Oh, he reads.
He likes to spoil things for himself before he ever sees it.
I never do that.
No, you got to make your own judgments.
I agree.
So, it looks like an away team mission.
Well, he asked a very good question though there on the chat.
Could someone get the gist of the TOS?
Yes, I think so.
Through just by watching the films? I mean, yeah, you'd get a better probably portrayal of
a more complete picture of all 7 of them.
Yeah, you actually know something about Sulu and Chekhov.
That's what I was gonna say too.
Scotty,
Scotty, yeah.
Right.
It's better. That's what I would do. If not introducing people with TNG or Strange New Worlds, I would just start them with the TOS movies. I'd skip
But
the show.
not Star Trek 1. I would start them on Wrath of Khan.
No, not Star Trek 1. But the Wrath of Khan is just a revenge movie, and you're like, revenge of what? Because
you don't need to watch Spacey to
appreciate Wrath of Khan.
I guess not.
You know. Okay, guys, this has been a great. I know we're gonna keep it quick, but we're at an hour and 10 anyway. So
we got into it a little bit.
I think it was good discussion. I hope you guys all enjoyed it out there in the live stream, or if you're listening to us in the future, watching us in the future, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe, and check out all our great content. Did you know every Monday night we're covering a new episode of the show For All Mankind, created by Ronald D. Moore, and we'll be covering season 2, episode 7, Don't Be Cruel, this coming Monday. So tune to that if you're a follower of the show, or if you're not, go watch the show and then listen to our reviews. And we got all kinds of great things happening on the United Federation of Podcasts, the X-Men podcast, and elsewhere. Trivial Debates, I think, is doing is it a Superman one we're doing soon?
Superman on Sunday.
Cool.
Hosted by Andre.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for being with us. Thanks to everything. And we'll leave you, I don't know, with something here. See you next time, everyone. Live long and podcast. Have a good one.
Cool. Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on Trivial Debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.